A curious teenager offers his physical services to the lonely women who live in his family's villa. In 1914, in the French countryside, Mrs. Muller and Roger ride a horse-drawn carriage toward his family's villa. During the journey, his eyes are drawn to the older woman's ample chest, and he tries his best to avert his gaze. Outside the majestic mansion, his mother and Aunt Marguerite welcome him home. One of the maids, Ursula, helps with his bags and transcripts the teen if he still remembers her after being away for 3 years, and he affirms. Mr. Frank, his father's friend, waves from the attic window. Inside the house, Roger's sister, Bertha, greets him with a warm hug. Later, while the siblings stroll around the property, they run into Mrs. Mueller, who's just finished picking fruit. Her husband passes by, and Bertha greets the older man. Suddenly, Mrs. Mueller lifts up her dress and relieves herself, surprising the teen. While wandering off by himself, Roger spots Mr. Mueller in the middle of the forest, praying in front of a picture of his wife while stuffing various flowers into his pants. The teen steps on a twig and the noise alerts the older man. So, Roger runs away and in his hurry, he trips and falls on the ground. Seconds later, he hears giggling nearby and follows the noise. To his surprise, he witnesses Ursula making love to Adolf, one of the villa's workers. When the woman sees the teen peeping, she simply laughs and greets him a good morning, causing the embarrassed Roger to flee. At supper, the teen stares curiously at Helene, an attractive maid. Mr. Frank asks the mother about her daughter Alyssa's boyfriend, and she explains that he's a lieutenant in the army. She shows the man a picture of the couple, and when Bertha makes snide remarks about the photograph, she calls for the governess, Kate, to take her daughter to bed. Moments later, Roger excuses himself, and when he kisses his aunt goodnight, the woman refuses him a second kiss on her cheek. That night, as the teen prepares for bed, he hears a noise from the hallway. When he investigates, he sees Elena making love to a mystery man through an open doorway. He returns to his room, and when he pulls back his sheets, sees that Bertha is on his bed. The girl says she isn't sleepy and wishes to continue having a conversation with her brother, whom she's missed dearly. She says that their mother mentioned that Marguerite remains chaste because she's afraid of men. When Roger asks why Mr. Frank and his aunt aren't together, the girl says she thinks it's because the man is unattractive and a bit odd. Suddenly, Kate enters to reprimand Bertha for leaving her bed, so the girl scrambles back to her room. The next day, the siblings watch the maids from across the river as they dip their feet in the water. Ursula and Helene ask Mrs. Mueller about her husband, and the older woman confides that he still has problems in the bedroom. Moments later, Adolf and Valentin playfully tease the women from across the water, prompting Ursula to humor the men by showing off her bare backside. Roger sees this and is in shock at the sight. Later that day, their father and sister Alyssa arrive, and the rest of the family greets them by the steps. Inside, Bertha and Roger look over their father's metal samples. The older man laments about how business has slowed down, since no war means no demand for military metals. That afternoon, while the maids and Adolf work together to pull supplies up into the barn, the man catches Roger picking up Ursula's skirt and playfully tosses hay on him. Later, Bertha takes her brother to the chapel, and they sneak to a crawlspace above the confession booth. She says she discovered it by accident and has spent many hours eavesdropping. After his sister leaves, Roger stays behind and listens to his Aunt Marguerite's confession to Father Gabriel. To his surprise, his aunt reveals that she's had inappropriate thoughts about Roger,